I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 12th, brought to you in part by ProBack by VITALIX. This year, set your calves up for better success by strengthening your vaccine protocol with ProBack. For more information, go to BuyMedaBiologicals.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market and Creston Livestock Market in north central Missouri and south central Iowa there. Unionville had a special on Tuesday there. It was a great time, and I talked to Kurt Sportleader, and he was a little frustrated with the timing on there. It was a limit down day, but they still sold their premier consignment of feeders very well. They had the 3 loads of the Rockin' R's that always topped the market. Those loads averaged 878 pounds with an average price on them at $365 1/4. Their next big special at Unionville will be Tuesday, September the 23rd. But Creston, Iowa, they've got a regular sale coming up on Friday, September the 19th, and then an all vaccinated calf and yearling special on Wednesday, October the 1st. Shoulder off the mat, and it looked like we were pushing these markets down hard on the cattle. This week started out on Tuesday with a limit down day on the feeders especially, and it was tough. It was tough in the fed cattle arena. They started selling cattle $4 to $5 lower early in the week. They gave up early, and we thought, man, this is going to be tough, and then we're going down. But late in the week, we saw a little bit more. Despite the pressure from the board being down so big early in the week, and the open interest has plunged. I mean, these funds have left the markets, and so now it's so lightly played, it's even more scary, because it doesn't take a whole lot to push it one way or the other to make it go. And you know, it's just is a scary time here, middle late week for your cattle markets, with all the pressure on the board, and the fed cattle trade was lower. But the fed cattle trade remarkably got another $2 back late in the week, which never happens after losing $4 to $5 early in the week, especially when they had traded a fairly significant amount of cattle. But the packers came after them. They still wanted cattle late in the week, and they had to get up to $240. Now, I realize the market a week ago was $242 to $243, but we didn't think that $240 was going to happen. It happened on Thursday, and they bought cattle that way. The Southern Plains feedlots, these packers know that. They have not restocked any of the cattle that they had in there before they closed the Mexican border. The Mexican cattle, they've all finished now. They're gone. And these Southern Plains feeders, which are absolutely dominated by your corporate feeders there, they haven't gone in, stepped up to the plate, and pushed the market, this record high market on feeder cattle. So they got empty pens down there. And the packers better get used to hauling cattle from the northern plains down into the southern plains to have them slaughtered, and not just to Kansas either. May have to haul them to Texas too. They know that's not going to be a great option for them, even though they're more willing to pay the freight than they are push the market. But they were buying some cattle there at the $240, which they didn't love doing after they were getting cattle bought at $237 and $238 earlier in the week. But yeah, we're starting to see them show that they need cattle. They always say they don't need cattle, but they've got to have cattle. And I think that's showing with the fed cattle market trade later in the week was strong. Our beef imports are up 30% year to date. Where are we getting all that meat? From places that we don't normally import all that meat. Mexico is flush with meat. They've only got one packer down there. The smoke's blowing out of those stacks, you know, full bore there. So they've got their meat, and then they're getting meat in from places like Brazil, that the tariffs have kept from bringing it into the USA. Likely they're throwing those boxes away, putting it in Mexican boxes and sending it over. But we need to look into that also. I did hear some people in the industry a little worried on Thursday afternoon because they had heard that Secretary Rollins was going down to Oklahoma to Express Ranches to take a tour on Friday, and anytime that they make a big tour like that, they usually have something to say. Now, has NCBA, Texas Cattle Feeders, Kansas Livestock Association gotten to the Secretary? Is she going to open up the Mexican border to cattle imports, despite everything we've heard about the screwworms? We don't know. We haven't heard anything that implies that she might, but it's just a little nervous whenever she gets that far down into the southern plains. But let's look at your board on Thursday. October live cattle were up $1.12. They were up, pretty consistently all through your cattle futures, so that makes us feel better, even though we know the play in those cattle futures is very, very light. But up $1.12 on October at 232.27. December was up 145 at 234.12. Your back months on live cattle up 62 to up $1.25, so very consistently higher. September feeder cattle have a lot of ground to gain back after being down $9 or $9.25 on Tuesday, but on Thursday September feeders were up 202 at 355.22. October was up 192 at 352.35, and your back months on feeder cattle contracts were up 107 to up 220. Now your corn, December new crop corn up 2 3/4 cents at 4.19 3/4. November beans up 8 1/4 at 10.33 1/2, and your hard red winter wheat for December up 3 cents at 5.10 a bushel. Your fat cattle trade, and this is significant, in Iowa on Thursday, up through the 2 o'clock deadline. And I feel like the packers were a little lackadaisical about putting that information in. Market News doesn't talk to feedlots anymore. When they put mandatory price reporting in, the packers have to give us all that information, all their purchase information since the last time they reported it, so they don't talk to feedlots anymore. And it just seems to me like a triggering type move that happened on Thursday. They were awfully lax about getting those purchases in, and I think there was a lot more trade that happened on Thursday than this at the 240, and I think there was a lot more trade that happened before 2 o'clock. They just didn't get around to punching it in that database. But Iowa sold 900 head confirmed on Thursday, 11,200 head for the week, and the live price on Thursday was 237 to 240. Dress prices from 375 to 378. Nebraska sold 6,400 head confirmed on Thursday, 17,750 for the week, and live price on Thursday 238 to mostly all 240. And I heard that the gates were swinging fairly freely on Thursday, but we didn't get all those sales in. Dress sales from 373 to 378. And especially in the southern plains, they didn't get much of that put in before 2 o'clock. Kansas, they only had 200 head confirmed. I'm sure there was a lot more than that. Only 300 head for the week. The price in Kansas on live fat steers and heifers from 238 to 240. And we had sales on Wednesday confirmed from 235 to 238. So that's a good recovery. Texas, only 200 head confirmed, 300 for the week. Live price was only 240 in Texas as reported, and they had 238 posted for Wednesday afternoon trade. Box beef cutout values were down hard on Thursday. Choice cuts down $485 at $400.79. Select was down $373 at $379.95. Your slaughter through the first 4 days of the week, 459,000 estimated cattle slaughter. Can't compare it to last week because of the holiday, but compared to a year ago, This week's slaughter up through Thursday already down 27,000, so they're not stepping it up much. Actual slaughter information come back for the week ending August the 30th had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 953 pounds, and that's 1 pound heavier than the same report last week. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, of course that's Dakota Moss, and you look at all these agents listed there that work with him. They are all LRP specialists. That's what they do most of the time, and those LRP riders have been very busy this week with a little upheaval in the market there. A lot of guys thinking they better grab a hold to a protection level there. But you might want to get a hold of one of these guys if you're nervous and get on the bandwagon before we get another one of those $9 down days on the futures. Then you don't have that pays for the LRP right there, guys. But for more information, go to livestockriskservices.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index at the end of the day on Thursday, or towards the end, I'm getting ready to go give a talk here for the local Farm Bureau in Winters, South Dakota. We're expecting a big crowd there. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I am reporting this a little bit, not necessarily at night like usual, but a little bit in the afternoon. But your real-time index at 358.86, down 73 cents compared to late Wednesday, but not falling completely out of bed like it had the previous 2 days. Your steer tracker, which is the last 25 lots of 5 head or bigger that go in the index, is quite a bit bigger than that real-time index 7-day moving average at 367.47. And your CME cash feeder cattle index is just not going down like it should. Maybe they're not reporting enough markets anymore. I don't know. It doesn't really reflect what's going on out there. It really takes the top sale to be 365 on 8-weight steers, and your CME feeder cattle index is still sitting up there at 365.47. I want to tell you about a sale that's coming up here today on Friday. It's anniversary special at Lanesboro Sales Commission in Lanesboro, Minnesota. You know, we've been talking that they just recently added DVAuction broadcasting to their sales, so we're proud to have them along. But they have got a really impressive lineup for Friday for the big anniversary special there. They've got the kite steers. That's 270 black and red steers right off the grass, weighing 9 to 9.5. They got the Norwalk steers, 228 of them, all black steers weighing 9 to 9.5. Grass only there, coming off the grass. They've got the Hunt Farms, another 100 head of Angus steers weighing 950 to 1,000, grass only. Tell you what, guys, these yearlings are running out, especially the grass yearlings. You can't find them. So you better get in there on Lanesboro Sales Commission, and you can view and bid on DVAuction.com. Let's talk about your sales on Thursday. How about Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota, the east barn, the main barn there. They had a whale of a sale. They had their anniversary special. All these sales having big specials right now, but it was just unbelievable what the cattle were bringing in there after everything that had happened earlier in the week. And John Fisher was another saying, "Oh great, my timing is so good. I've got an anniversary special right after the boards tanked earlier in the week." But he wasn't singing the blues on Thursday. And Dickinson was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard livestock equipment, stick out sale of the day. You look at this automated marker report through Cattle Market Central, and you see your best tested weights are all heavier. And I pulled it a little bit early. They had some more cattle to sell there. I think they ended up with around 3,000 head. We didn't get all of them on this report, but we got a lot of the main deals. 212 head of 7-weight steers averaged 766 with a weighted average price of 379.61. 463 head of the 8-weights averaged 849 at 365.87, and 180 steers in the 9-weight category averaged 955 with a weighted average price of $347.70. How about the heifers? 331 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged $746 at $360.65. 151 of the 8-weights averaged $860 at $330.26. And 123 of the 9-weight heifers averaged 927 pounds with a weighted average price of $323.80. Some other individual quotes from all around, the best ones that I saw on Thursday. How about Sisseton Livestock Auction in Sisseton, South Dakota? 59 steers weighed 943 at $364. Wow. How about out east at Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky? They sold 65 steers weighed 785 at $377.75. Down at Valentine Livestock Auction in Valentine, Nebraska, they had a hell of a sale. 88 steers weighed 624 at $465. That'd be a turnout deal there, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, and your Macrocin no BS top quote for the day, indeed come out of Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. It was a Wernacki steers, F1 Baldies, my absolute favorite there. Had 60 of those steers weighed 817, bring $385.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.